Hello everybody, Andrew from First Things Foundation here. Today we're just doing a little short video with Oswald Farely out in the Georgian Republic in Akhaltsikhe. He'll tell you all about it. But basically this is just a little highlight reel talking about the fieldworker experience, the immersion, a little bit about phase 2, but mostly a lot about the philosophy and the nature of the work. And so for people who are interested in learning more, this is a great starting point about what fieldwork looks like, what's involved. Hope you enjoy. It's pretty quick, and we'll see you around. Who are you? What are you doing? Where are you? What is your role in First Things Foundation?
Sure, thanks. So my name's Oswald, or Alistair, depending on who you ask. And I'm a field worker for First Things Foundation, and I'm currently living and working in a small city called Akhaltsikhe in the southwest of Georgia, which is about 20 miles away from the Turkish border, far away from the capital, the main city, Tbilisi. And I'm a vanguard field worker, which basically means I'm the first person to work here for First Things Foundation. And I'm currently transitioning from phase 1 of the work, which is immersionship, and then into phase 2, which is helping find and working with local people, creators, all different kinds of people here.
What does it mean to be a field worker for First Things Foundation? What's been your experience?
Well, I guess there's kind of two sides to it, in the sense that it's as much about coming to somewhere where there's perhaps difficulties, whether they're economic or social, lots of different things. It's as much about helping people as it is as kind of learning about yourself and developing yourself, and a kind of cultural exchange the other way around. I think that up to this stage so far, most of my work has been about learning about Georgia and what exists here that I don't have back home, and what eventually I can take back home with me as well, and how that can benefit, the way I live my life back home, my family, my local area as well. I could, already being here, I can think about 10 different ways that what I've done here can be applied to doing stuff back home as well that I wouldn't have thought about before coming to somewhere like this as well. So, yeah. And it just gives you so many different skills as well, not just language skills, but interpersonal kind of communication skills, time management, all of these things that as an artist, I wasn't necessarily good at before. I didn't know I could do. It's made me so much more confident in writing as well. We have to write blogs, all of these different kind of things. I've discovered a lot as well in the process.
The work that is asked of you as a field worker, the type of living, is a type of asceticism. It is a sacrificing of a type of living that is very comfortable and for one that is much more difficult and demanding. And so that forces a type of transformation if you're willing to go through the process. And so I'm curious, has there been a type of transformation?
Yeah, definitely. I think a lot of it has to do with the pace of life here as well. And like the other sites in Africa and in Guatemala as well, compared to somewhere like England or the US, the pace of life is much slower. And I can give one example. One very obvious example is that I've been painting the whole time I've been here as well, and making work about Georgia, and also doing things that I wouldn't have done necessarily before because I'm here as well. One of them is poetry. Like I started writing, I had no thoughts about writing poetry. And suddenly being here in a country where like the written word and especially poetry is valued so high, that combined with this slow pace of life where, I don't have to look at my phone all of the time, and like a lot of my time spent, chopping wood, and I don't have running water all of the time, and I have to fill up all of these. It gives me so much more space and freedom, and the free time I do have to paint, it's been like my work's completely transformed. And also another thing about Georgia is that I got to immerse myself in a very kind of traditional old Christian country as well. And that has had so much kind of poetic mystery and majesty about it. That's really kind of like exploded my creativity as well. And I feel like that helps all aspects with me communicating with people, and as well as that, people have this kind of interest because I'm showing this interest in Georgian art and stuff like that. And not everybody that comes here has those revelations, I guess. But that's kind of been my experience so far.
To me, it sounds like there's all these restrictions, yet what you're telling me is that no. It's actually a type of freedom because you're released from all the distractions in a way. And is that one way to look at it? Is that your life was forced to become focused on the essentials, and perhaps because of that slowness and focus and attentiveness to the immediate things like running water and fire, literally, you're able to, I don't know, expand in some way and integrate thoughts more clearly and just do things that maybe the West doesn't allow for so much, you know?
Yeah, exactly. I feel like, definitely. And there's lots of parallels to painting as well, that those limitations really expand your creative horizons, I would say a lot. I mean, the one analogy of painting, of course, is that like you can have a palette with lots of different colors on. You can have a palette with 150 different colors on. But for me, that makes it so much harder to paint. If I have 5 colors, everything becomes more kind of easier to remix in different ways. And I know what I have, and I'm limited, but there's so many more possibilities because I can think more clearly as well. So that's been my experience here in lots of different ways, and especially with kind of my spiritual life as well, I would say.
Beautiful.
I have to stress, you can go to Sierra Leone still, and you can have an iPhone in your pocket, and you can, even the Sierra Leoneans have phones and internet and watch Instagram shorts and TikTok and stuff. So you that's still a trap you can fall into. You have to be careful, but it's a good place to really distance yourself from that as well. It really does feel like a fresh start. That would have been a lot harder to separate that at home as well. But being here, I can kind of, at least I began the process, and now I feel like I really am kind of changing my kind of approach to like living in general. So
yeah. And have you felt through the course of your immersionship, the first phase of your work, that you are now in a better position to actually provide assistance?
First of all, I would say that like the first phase, the immersionship phase, is, well, for me, it's been just the right amount of time as well. I don't think I would have been able to do the phase 2 stuff if it wasn't 9 months long. And definitely if I went into trying to find projects and with this idea of helping people and stuff from the get-go, it would be very difficult, and I don't think I would have much success mostly. I would say other than of course you're more sensitive to the culture by spending this kind of 9 months immersing. As well as that, a place like this, it's difficult to meet people from the get-go as well. So that process of immersing and going to eat with people, working at the same place, meeting families, extended families and stuff like that. The phase 2 work wouldn't have been possible without that, especially considering I'm the first person here as well. And it's a strange town, Akhaltsikhe, in the sense that the high street, you wouldn't necessarily think there's much going on. But if you look kind of beyond the high street, and there's lots of kind of old buildings where upstairs people are doing really interesting things. Like Archil, who I'm working with now, he works in a garage on a back street somewhere. And it took me kind of 7 months, 8 months to find him. And it just wouldn't have been possible in the first place as well. And it took lots of connections to make in order to get to him as well, for this person who has this great idea and vision to do something that will help lots of other people as well. So,
what does that mean when you say you're searching for projects? Are you doing a specific kind of project, or what do you mean by that?
Well, as much about people as it is about a project, I would say that much. Especially towards the end of the immersionship, and even during kind of halfway, I would say, you come across people who you can talk to, and you describe what First Things does, and then they start talking about how they have this great idea, or they have something they're struggling with, and those are the kind of people that you have to kind of keep tabs on, and in some ways have patience, because if I met somebody like month 5, and I felt like I wasn't ready to obviously I hadn't started phase 2 and stuff like that yet, so I wasn't ready to take on that. But it's really important to keep an eye out for those kind of people that have a real passion for something that they're doing, and have kind of roadblocks in the way of them doing it as well. So that's kind of what I'm looking for, not necessarily a project. And the difficult thing is that you can't be too biased as well. You shouldn't come in somewhere like this with an idea of projects that you'd like and projects that you want to work with as well, because ultimately people here know what they need as well. So it's much more about listening and learning to listen to people as well. So.